Hello, everybody. Good day to you, one and all, and something completely different on a Monday night. And we're going to bring you the first round of the Touring Car Challenge. This is round number one of the 2022 season, one of 8 rounds that will be the full series for 2022, series number one of the Touring Car Challenge. And we're out at Lime Rock Park. And joining me, as always, the voice of West Bromwich Motorsport, Frankie Yinnis. Good day to you.
Good day, Gary. Good day, everybody else at home. Yes, Lime Rock Park is situated in Lakesville, Connecticut, in the USA, and there's quite some history of the circuit. Some major events that they've had here is the IMSA Sports Championship, the Northwest Grand Prix takes part in here, or takes place here. It's an asphalt circuit. And they've hosted in the past the American Le Mans Series, the Northeast Grand Prix, the Rolex Sports Car Series, and the Lime Rock Grand Prix, just to name a few. So quite a well-known track out there in the USA is Lime Rock Park. And as Gary was saying, it's round one of the 2022 Touring Car Racing Championship.
Well, this is the qualifying session, and the guys are out already. They've got 10 minutes in which to do their qualifying. They've got 10 minutes maximum, and then also 2 laps maximum that they can do out there. So you've got to get on the button pretty quickly. That is the last bend that you go through before you come out into the front main. You've got to traverse that one very neatly. That's the front main. There you see on the right-hand side, that is the complex of the pits down the front main of the Sam Posey Straight. Got to bring it down 2 gears, bring it in there nice and neatly. Now that right-hander just carries on and on and on. You want to pick up that curbstone on the inside. The next one's going to be a left-hander. You've got to feather it through that corner. The next one going to be a right-hander. Now there's a long straight thereafter. Very important to come out of this corner correctly. Use all the curbstone on the outside and run it all the way through. It's actually, although it looks like a curve, it's actually pretty much a straight line. There's 2 different versions of the track. That's the long run. Now there, as they go over the top of the hill, you've actually got to feather slightly off the accelerator, otherwise it gets away from you. That's the second last corner as you go underneath the Haggerty Bridge. It's a downhill, 1 gear down, clip that curbstone on the inside onto the outside line, and away you go, and that is a completion of a lap. So not a long lap whatsoever. Let's have a look at the best lap time so far. And there they are.
Yeah, Julian Familiaris doing a 53.492. Then Yuri Swart Jr. on a 53.833. Jonty Weiss is a man that we are looking at now in that Valvoline car, number 71. He's done a 54 dead. So all of them on 54s, except for Julian, he's a 53.4. And then Johan Grobler, the man in P17, done a 55.1. Otherwise, from P2 all the way to P16 so far, all of them are somewhere in the 54 seconds for 1 lap.
Pretty interesting stuff. So a lot of guys we know out there. Julian from the RS, the quickest man out there at this stage of the fight. Umpi Swart, second overall behind Leighton Fury in the SA Polar Cup Series 2022. I think he's going to be racing it this year again. In there behind that is Jonty Weiss, and alongside him will be the likes of Jason Kutsia. Open wheeler Byron Mitchell, he's out there as well, and he's got himself so far onto the 3rd row of the grid. Carl McCarthy, frankly, to the best of my knowledge, that's either Steve, I think it's Steve's son, or Sean's son, one of the McCarthy boys that's out there. Michael Stephen, we know exactly who Michael Stephen is, the brother of Graham Stephen. Dalian Weiss in that 9th position, and a new name to us, Louis Visser, in that 10th position.
Yes, Louis Visser with a 54.455. He rounds off the top 10. That is a new name to us, Louis Visser. But the names ahead of him is well-known names. As Louis drops out of the top 10, Dalen Weiss moving up into that 10th position. And I presume that he must be family of Jonty Weiss, either a son or a family member of Jonty Weiss, and Dalen with a 54.393. So almost 6 minutes done in this qualifying session. And the man that races in the Mobile One V8 SA Series, Julian Familiaris, is the quickest man out there with a 53.492. Yuri Swart, oh man, Umpi, his nickname as we all know him, came so very, very close to winning the 2021 SA Polar Cup Championship. Yuri Swart Jr., we all call him Umpi, is there in that second place on a 53.833. And then Nathan Victor, a young man that races GTI Challenge here at Killarney International Raceway, currently on a 53.928. And so far, Gary, they are the top three.
Yeah, I'm led to believe Nathan Victor's moving up to Class B this year. I speak under correction, but that's the way I understand it. The man that's out there on screen right now, Jaco Steyn, he's in fact the person that has created this series, and the whole idea with the series was a case of let's try a touring car series, let's see how much interest there is in it. Well, there was 46 guys that went to qualify.
Yeah.
They took out the top 25, 4 of them that's not going to be out there tonight after, I think, 4 rounds. They'll take the top 5 from the B division and put them into the A, and the bottom 5 from the A division will then drop down to the B division. So the man that's out there on track there, you see him, that's Jaco Steyn. He has teamed up, in fact, with Dr. Mike Verrier to put together the MSA iRacing South African GTE League, which will be starting, in fact, on Wednesday evening.
Yeah, together with the SA Porsche Cup Challenge, and both those events will be run on the same day. So we look there at Byron Mitchell, or no, that's Clinton Besaidnout in the 57 car. Yes, that is Clinton's number 57, making his way around in the, let me see what car he's in. I think it's an Audi. Yes, it is an Audi. I had a look on the on Gary's leaderboard here. I think it's only a handful of drivers that are out there in Hondas. Most of these drivers are out there in
Hyundai.
Audis and Hyundais. So
Can you believe it? That's the N-Series Hyundai, I believe, if I look correctly. The N-Series Hyundai. The Audi, Gavin, was the RS3.
oh, lovely car.
And then there is the Honda. That's going to cost him. That was on the edge right there on the last. Let's see what can he do. He's the last of the qualifiers, is Clinton Besaidnout. And let's see where he comes up on the screen.
Well, not in that top 22. Remember, I think that might have just been his outlap, and also track limits might have just caught him out there as well. There's a possibility. So he's going to have to go around again. He's got time. Remember, you can do one lap here in under a minute. So he certainly has enough time to put in another quick lap there, does Clinton Besaidnout.
Well, that's the last 2 that's out on circuit now. In fact, it's only Clinton Besaidnout that's now still out on track. He's the last man out there. Come down the hill, clip the curbstone, over the rise, underneath the Haggerty Bridge. One last right-hander. You've got to just feather it through there, touch the curb on the inside, run it all the way to the outside, keep the hammer down. Lovely. Timed that one beautifully. Let's see. National Polo Cup racer Clinton Besaidnout, where does he put it on the grid?
In 22nd position.
Wow, it looked so quick and it looked so fast. How quick is the rest of them then? 9 minutes 25 of the 10 minutes, and everybody has done their qualifiers.
But Gary, Julian's under 53. Everybody down from 2nd to 22nd is in that 54s. It's only Grobler that's done a 55-1. From P2 up until P22, all of those drivers are in the 54 point some odd seconds. Man, this is going to be very, very, very close racing indeed.
Well, we're just waiting for the last seconds to tick away, the last 5 seconds of the qualifying. As soon as that has gone away, we will be able to pick up the grid proper as it's going to stand.
Sorry, Gary, it's actually from P4 all the way down to P22.
Right,
That's
here we go.
in those 54. So it's Julian Familiaris and Yuri Swart Jr. That's on the front row of the grid. The second row there is Nathan Victor and Jonty Weiss.
Yeah, Jason Kutsia and Byron Mitchell in 5th and 6th. Then Jacques Botha and Jaco Steyn.
Then the 5th row was Carl McCarthy and Michael Stephen. The 6th row is Natim Samanga and Dalen Weiss.
And then Vian Gribeno and Louis Visser rounding out the top 14. Dario Busi, long way down, with Paul Gerber alongside him.
Yeah, then Jan Sparmers and Yuri Swart Sr. out in 18th position. And the 10th row was Willem Botha and Robbie Teens. 11th row, Sander Bakari and Clinton Besaidenout.
Yep, there's still more to come. Johan Grobler, that's the unknown to us. And yeah, I'm not sure who the 24 is. It doesn't show up there by us at all.
Well, he never put a time, so I don't think there are 20. No, there's only 23 drivers out there.
Three of them out there. Well, there's the makes of the cars. We can pick up some numbers for you as well. Let's have a look at the front end of that grid. It's going to be good stuff. Look at that. Julian from the RS and Umpi Swart, Nathan Victor and John. Where is Swart Senior? He's down in 18th position. So the Swart family in second and 18th front row. Julian from the RS, one by Honda and one by Audi on the front row of the grid.
Right, we are going to go racing. 30 minutes of SA touring car racing is about to blast off pretty soon. They're all busy gridding. There is a grid spot. I see that's still open there as we go to that blimp view with a lovely Lime Rock logo there on the main straight. That river there on the left-hand side, the pit complex on the driver's right-hand side. They will go under that Sam Posey bridge into turn 1, which is called Big Bend. Right, we've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And pause, and away we go with race number 1, season number 1, SA Touring Car Championship underway. There's drivers on the grass. I think that might be Jason Kutsia that was trying to make a move there on the lawn. But out of turn number 1, called Big Bend, it is Swart from Familiaris from Nathan Victor. In that first, second, and third positions, Jason Kutsia and Jacques Botha round off that top 5. As they wind their way through the opening lap. Oh, and there's contact. There's contact. Jason Kutsia is one of those drivers that's gone farming. And then one of the Hyundais have also disappeared off the track there. Martin Samanga sitting out there in P6. He's got Jacques Stein ahead of him and Byron Mitchell just in there behind him as they race down into turn number 1. Mitchell's having a look. Mitchell is having a look there at Nsamanga, but Natim Samanga holding that line for now as they go into that slight right-hander.
Umpi Swart, Julian from the RS. Oh, look at that. They're right in there behind one another. Nothing much between the two of them as they work their way down into turn number 1. That long right-hander out towards the outside curbstone. Now you've got to drag it back across to the right-hand side of the circuit. Touch the brakes, feather it, running through there. Probably that's a second gear. You've got to line that one up pretty neatly because this is one of the most important corners because this is the first of the long straights that you can pick up. Although it's got that S in it, you can pick up a lot of speed through there or lose a lot of top line speed through there.
So that Audi's been chased there by that Hyundai as they make their way into that slight right-hander. We're now heading towards the end of the lap. Remember, towards the end of the lap, it's a downhill that takes you into that final right-hander. Look at that. This is a very, very quick racetrack. Jacques Stein making his way around. He has got a whole heap of them out there. That's Umpi Swart that's going to that right-hander. That is the final corner. Now that's heading towards the final corner. That's the final corner that Yuri Senior is making his way through. The pit complex will be there on his right-hand side. But up front, working his way around, that is Swart and Familiaris in second. There is nothing between the two of them. There's only a tenth of a second between the two of them as they make their way into that left-hander. And Familiaris, 2/10 of a second, right on the case there of Umpi Swart. Over the crest they go. Dropping downhill now. 2/3 of the lap is done into that right-hander. This is a very, very quick part of Lime Rock Park. Into that final right-hander they go. And there is nothing between them. Down the home straight, called the Sam Posey straight. There's a pit entrance on the right-hand side. There's a pit complex on the right-hand side. Under the bridge on the Sam Posey straight, they go into turn number 1 called Big Bend. And Yuri Swart's done a 53.891 and a 53.896 for Familiaris. And there are 3/10 of a second between Swart and Familiaris.
Yep, nothing much between them whatsoever. The two of them now starting to pull away. In fact, they've taken a fair amount of time out of Nathan Victor. There you see, there's Nathan Victor coming through. Oh, look at that. In behind Nathan Victor, Jacques Botha right on his tail. Jacques Botha brings with him the man of the moment, Jaco Stein, the man that put this lot together. And looking from inside that motor car, that's what you see as you go through under the bridge, down underneath the Haggerty Bridge, down the dip. Look at that, how he lifts off, just feathers it through, touches the curbstone on the outside and pulls it straight.
You can hear him on that rumble strip. There is a Jacustein, lovely livery there on the Jacustein Audi RS3 as they go into that right-hander, turn one, big bend. And he's on the case of the 888 Audi of Jacques Botha. Botha sitting out there in that fourth position. He in turn is 0.8 of a second behind Nathan Victor. As we have a look at that front suspension of Jacustein's Audi RS3 working overtime with Jacques Botha, 0.7 of a second. Jacques is there ahead of him. There is nothing between them. Into that right-hander they go. Now they go over the crest. You've got to lift off there, otherwise you're going to get all four wheels airborne as they go into that final right-hander under that Haggerty Bridge. That's a second last corner, I should say. Now they're going into that final right-hander, which takes them back onto the Sam Posey straight. But Gary, nothing between Swart Jr. and Familiaris into turn one.
Weren't they teammates in one of the 6 hours, Familiaris, Swart,
And
Troy
Boosie.
Dolenchik? No, Troy Dolenchik, I think was Troy
Yeah,
Dolenchik.
could have been Troy. Yes, I think you're right. It is Troy,
So
yes.
I think they have actually been teammates before.
Yes, Boosie was teammates with Kutsia. That's quite right,
yeah,
yes.
with Jason Kutsia. So I think the two of them previous teammates, they've said, right, let's work together. Let's not mess one another around. And look how much time they've taken out of Nathan Victor. Nathan Victor, ex-Class C, now up into Class B, GTI Challenge, Killarney International Raceway. There he comes. And look at that fight in there behind him. A Jacques Botha. There is Jacustein, Michael Steven.
Yeah.
Michael Steven is up into that 6th position already, but they're closing down on the back of Michael Steven. Look at that. Nati and Samangi, Polo Cup Racer, 2021, top 10. The Boyki's good. And Dario Busi is in the house.
Yeah, right behind him is Carl McCarthy, and then rounding off that top 10 is Byron Mitchell, and he's a second there behind Carl McCarthy. Man, this is entertaining stuff to say the least. Dario Busi sitting out there in that number 61. He gets overtaken there. Does a Boosie. Boosie ran wide, and that was Nsamanga. That was Nati that made a move on him. Yes, the 74 cars now ahead there of the 61. So Nati Nsamanga making the move there on Dario Boosie. Dario overdoing it a bit and losing that position there to Nati, but Dario's coming back. Dario is coming back. That Hyundai is all over the back of that Audi as they go over the crest into that right-hander. This is as quick as you can go through that right-hander under the Haggerty Bridge towards the final corner, drops down, then turns into that right-hander. Pit lanes on the right-hand side. Dario Busi, will he get the slipstream there on Natim Samanga? He's right on his case. Is he going to get closer? It doesn't look like he's getting closer. Samanga turns into... Oh, Samanga gets it wrong. Then Samanga goes in slightly too hot. And Natim Samanga might have lost that position to Dario, although he hasn't. Samanga is still ahead there of Dario Busi. Could that have been a back marker? Yeah, that was a back mark. They went in too hard, just trying to keep out the way there from Nati and Dario.
If you look on the right-hand side, that battle for 6th position, the one that's got the green stripe, the number 8, that's Dario Busi. He's up 7 positions in there behind the 7th place, Nati and Samangi. Michael Steven up 4, the same as Nati and Samangi. You can see the gap between Dario Busi and Nati is 1.59, and the gap then to Michael Steven is now sitting on 3 seconds. Keep that one in mind. It's going to be interesting when it comes later on back to the front end of the field, and they're already into the back markers. In fact, it is Yuri Swart Sr. and Robbie Teens that they're just going to go past there now. So that's Julian Familiaris that's in there behind Umpi Swart. The next car that they're going to get to in front of that will be Paul Gerber, who's presently in 19th. So they've already lapped everything up to 20th position. That's the 2 front runners, and they're going quick. 0.3 of a second between Yuri Swart and Julian Familiaris. Remember I said 3 seconds, Nathan Victor, remember that one? That has spread out to 5 seconds, but the fight is on behind that. It's Michael Steven that's sitting on that train of cars in there behind Jacustein.
Yeah, into that long main straight to go. We ride aboard there on the Audi of Michael Steven sitting out there in P6. He's 9/10 of a second behind Jacustein. That's Jacu, see just there ahead of him. as they go into that right-hander. They'll make their way into the left-hander just ahead of Yaku. You see Jacques Botha. That's a 888 car that's just ahead there of Steyn as we ride aboard with Michael Stephen. We're having a look at that right front-hand suspension of Stevens Audi as they go over that crest. You're going to be so careful. That Armco barrier is very, very unforgiving on their left-hand side. Under the bridge they go into and towards the final corner through the last turn. This is as quick as it goes through that last corner with Michael Stevens sitting out there in P6, 0.5 of a second behind Jaco Steyn that sits out there in that 5th position.
One of our back markers, Louis Visser, who looks like he got a slightly nibble there from behind, and he was really battling with that motor car. Yeah, he's got damage on that motor car, there's no doubt about it, and I think that's from a previous encounter, and hence the reason that he's pulled that car off the circuit. Let's go back to the front end of the field. It's all about these two. It's Oompie Swart and staying with him, doing familiarities. You realize, Frankie, when you sit that close, you can't actually see the curbs that clear. You can't actually see the braking markers that clear. You're sitting so close to the guy, it's actually more difficult to do the following than the leading at this stage of the fight. It stays by 0.3 all the time, but we cannot deny a bit of footage of Michael Stevens sitting behind that pack of cars. Look at that. Michael Stevens slowly but surely closing up on the tail end there of Jaco Steyn, the man that put the whole series together. Is Jaco Steyn, and that's that beautiful colored Audi that you see just in front of Stephen, and then that is the man they're closing down on, Jacques Botha. Jacques Botha placing himself at this stage of the fight behind Nathan Victor, our GTI challenge racer from Killarney International Raceway. So the young lad is doing a brilliant job, although remember I said, remember that figure 3? Remember I said, remember that figure 5? It's up to 7, doesn't matter. He's better than everything else out there. Besides the two utterly brilliant drivers up front, Yuri Swart and Julian from the RS.
Yeah, well, Oompie and Julian are literally in a different league on their own, but this is a lovely fight for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th positions. We're having a look at here, and there goes Nathan Victor, and right behind Nathan Victor is Jacques Botha. There is Jacques Botha, behind him is Jaco Steyn, and right on his case there is Michael Stephen. Michael Stephen is 0.2 of a second right in there behind Jaco Steyn. Into that left-hander they go. This is a lovely train of cars for 3, 4, 5 and 6 we're watching out for. Natham Samanga is in P7, but he's 2.4 seconds behind this lot that we're looking at now as they go into that right-hander. Oh, Jaco Steyn, on the grass goes Jaco Steyn. I told you you can get all 4 wheels in the air there if you don't lift off. And he's feeling the pressure there from Michael Stephen as Michael is applying that pressure heavily there on Jaco. Jaco's a bit loose as Gary they go down the home straight.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he's about as close as you can possibly get. You see what I mean? You can't see the brake markers that easy when you are that distance away from the person in front of you. And, well, if you're down at ground level, that's what it looks like. If you are the unlucky part of the car, it's called a front spoiler. You know the chances of seeing the end of the race is not that good.
Just ahead of them, you see Jacques Botha crawling all over the back there of Nathan Victor. He's 0.4 of a second is Botha behind Victor. That's the 2 cars you see there ahead of Steyn and Stephen as they go into the right-hander over the crest. Look at the movement those cars make when you go as quick as you can over the crest. You do get those wheels slightly airborne, and you can hear the revs pick up ever so slightly, dropping slightly downhill. This is very, very quick into that right-hander. They're on the rumble strip. Are the 4 of them racing towards the Sam Posey Bridge. This is going down the main straight and into turn 1 called Big Bend.
Well, there you can see, oh, he's run wide. Jaco Steyn's run wide. It's Michael Stephen has got up on the inside line. They are both very good drivers. I'm pretty sure they'll make sure they don't touch one another. Having said that, they touch one another. Trying to close him off is Michael Stevens. Steyn is up on the inside line. Now they've got the right-hander. You've got to get... Now look how they're losing ground to the two in front. Oh, they're touching again. Let go, let go. If you want to see the end of the race, this is not the way to do it. There's nothing in there. The next one's going to be the right-hander. Well, Jaco Steyn eventually says, no. Look, Michael Stevens, this ain't going to work. And they've lost out a fair amount of ground to the two cars in front of them. Remember I said you've got to carry the pace through that right-hander for that first reasonably long straight, and there's the difference, and that is why Michael Stevens is now going to really battle to be able to pick up back onto that group in front. The group right in front, there's nothing between them. You don't get any closer.
Well, I must say, as we watch the two leaders, I must say that Michael and Jaco gave each other enough room to play. They did touch, but there was nothing malicious there. Some great driving between a very experienced real-time racer and a very experienced iRacer, and they did themselves no harm there. But look at this, 0.3 of a second between Yuri Jr. and Julian Familiaris as they drop down that hill into that right-hander. 0.2 of a second between Yuri Jr. and Familiaris. Down the main straight, the two of them come. Over the Lime Rock logo they go, into turn number 1, big bend. Julian sitting there right on the case of Umpi. Umpi's last lap was a 54.4 and Julian was a 54.47. So there is really nothing between Yuri Jr. and Julian at this point in time.
Well, I tell you what, brilliant stuff. Lap 17, 14 minutes 53 of the 30 that's gone. So we literally around about now, we're at halfway. Well, after 15 minutes, there's 0.2 of a second between these two. Hello, anybody just want to maybe make a move? There's nothing much that you can do when the man's so close to you. Is he just following? I just don't think he's got enough to be able to get past. Surely, look at that, he's got to drive. He's right on the back bumper. That must be close enough. Let's have a look at a cockpit shot from there.
Oh, here we go. He's going to move up on the inside. No. Yuri Jr. says, boy, you can stick in there behind me. These are two fantastic iRacing drivers as well as real-time racing drivers. Familiaris races the Mobile One SA V8 Supercar Championship. Umpi Swart races SA Polar Cup and races GTI Challenge Class A. It doesn't get much better than these two youngsters out there, and they are the pick of the crop at this point in time with 0.2 of a second between the two of them. Now, is Julian just going to sit there and say, I'm going to pressure you as they go into the final corner, and you're gonna get up pretty early to pressurize Umpi Swart, but if anybody can, Familiaris can.
I don't think he's close enough. He was closer last time around. I don't think he's going to be able to make the dive now, and I don't think he'll be stupid enough to go for that. Let's go a little bit further down the field. Nathan Victor, the young lad, and this is a young gun. I think he's probably like 17 or 18 years of age, to the best of my knowledge, holding out against the likes there of Jacques Werter, a much more experienced iRacer than what he is. Michael Stevens made up the gap. Michael Stevens has come to play. Look at that. Michael Stevens going to have a look. He's on the wrong side of the track there. The next one's going to be the right-hander. Let's see if he can get good drive out of this corner. I think Jacques Werter is starting to feel the pressure. Michael Stevens closed up to 0.2 of a second. It's game on.
But behind them is a lovely fight going on between Jaco Steyn and Natim Samanga. There is 0.8 of a second between the two of them. There is Nati, you see him just in there behind Jaco. Byron Mitchell coming past us now in P8, 2.7 of a second. He is behind Msamanga as we roll through Kyle McCarthy and Dario Busi. The two of them round off the top 10. There you see Dario, and just ahead of him is the Audi of Kyle McCarthy. Yuri Swart Sr. sitting out the top 10 there in P11. And he's 23 seconds behind Dario Busi. And rounding off the top 12 is the Hyundai of Johan Grobler, busy making his way around.
John T. Weiss, the open wheeler man from Kalani. That's John T. There you see him. He's a long way further back. Clinton Mercedes hasn't had much fun this time around. Not exactly where he would like to be in 14th. Jan Spammers in there behind him, and then there's a pretty decent dice going on just behind that. There they come now. That's Paul Gerber that's chasing down Sandra Bakari.
Yeah, Sandra Bakari just ahead there of Paul Gerber, and there is not much between them. As a matter of fact, Sandra Bakari himself was only 4/10 of a second behind Jan Sparmers. So that is a lovely fight going on up there, and that is the fight for 15th position as we move back to our two leaders.
Now look at the board on the right-hand side. We with Julian Familiaris. Just in front of him is Umpi Swart. They are first and second. The car in front of them, they're going to be catching up with now, is Paul Gerber. Started 16th down to 17th position. He's 3 seconds ahead of them. Let's see how long it takes them to catch up to him as they come through the right-hander. They aren't slowing one another down at all, because remember I said 3, then 5, then 7. It is Michael Steven that's now up into that third position.
Okay, but Gary, keep in mind that Swart and Familiaris is now 2.9 seconds behind Gerber in that 17th position, but he himself is involved in a massive, massive fight. As you have a look at the replay there, Nathan Victor.
That's where he went.
And Nathan Victor, one of the top 10 runners, has disappeared. Well, he's still in the top 10, but he's down in 8th position. So Familiaris and Swart are fighting it out for P1 and P2. And I was saying early on, they're 2.5 seconds behind Gerber in P17, but he's going to have to watch out for the blue flags, because he himself is involved in a lovely fight there for P16 with Sandra Bakari.
Well, Jaco Steyn has got onto the back end of Jacques Botha. He's 7/10 away from that. Carl McCarthy, keep an eye on that. He's all over the back of the recovering Nathan Victor. Nathan Victor, that was in that third position, went off with the pressure from Michael Steven. Michael Steven 10 seconds away from these two. Here comes the passing movement. Now, remember, now there's a whole heap of traffic in front of them. Keep an eye on the battle box on the right-hand side. It's Julian Familiaris with Umpi Swart in front of him. The first person they're going to get to, 17th overall on track. They've lapped everybody up to 18th position. It was 3 seconds, it's now down to 1.7. Now, the onboards will start showing on these guys saying, blue, there's stuff that's happening. And it looks like Carl McCarthy's made the move.
Yeah, McCarthy's made the move there on Nathan Victor. We'll have a look at replay. He's up on the inside under the Sam Posey Bridge and into turn 1, Big Bend. Carl McCarthy makes the move, and Carl goes up there to P8. However, now they are 0.8 of a second behind Paul Gerber is Umpi and Yuri Swart. What do you do now? The man that's got the best seat in the house there is Julian. He is 10.3 seconds ahead of Michael Stevens. He's got no pressure on him. Umpi Swart's got all the pressure as he makes the move there, puts a lap there on the man that's out there in P17, Paul Gerber. Now he's 2.2 seconds ahead, or should I say just behind his next victim, Jan Sparmers.
But remember, as he's doing that, that's directly behind him and not going away. It's called Julian Familiaris. It's a Hyundai. It's the I-Series Hyundai, and he's pushing very, very hard. There's nothing much between the two of them. They're going to come up now behind Jan Sparmers. They're 1.8. Are probably going to find when they get into brake markers at the end of the front main is a roundabout when they're going to be all over Jan Sparmers.
Well, I tell you what, this is going to get entertaining right now. Out of the final corner, down the main straight, there's 1.7 seconds between the two of them and Sparmers. Sparmers will just keep out the way. Sparmers lifts off and says, man, there's not a damn thing I can do to keep your hot shots behind me. They are 6 seconds behind the man in P11. That is a Yuri Swart Sr., and that will be their next victim for Julian and for Yuri.
Well, that's on board with Yuri Swart. And, well, I tell you what, it's awesome the way he's going. So it's going to be Yuri Swart Jr. that's going to be catching Dad to lap him. Oh, that's how you throw it away. 2 cars ahead of Umpi is, in fact, Papa Bear. So nothing much between them. If you look at that on a blimp shot, there is our first and second. And if we go slightly further forward, is he going to go for it? Now he's going to go for it. Now he's going to go for it. Now he's going to be on the outside line. There's a pit lane on the right-hand side. Can he make this one stick as they go down to turn number 1?
I don't think so. He's not going to give up, though. Now it gets interesting. And he gets run slightly wide there by Umpi. Julian says, come on, I've got to get through. I've got to get past somehow. You're not going to get past Umpi that easily. These are two of the very best you're seeing out there in P1 and P2. A tenth of a second between Yuri Jr. and Familiaris. And they've got a back marker that they're going to close up on. Jacques Botha is side by side there with Jaco Steyn. That is Steyn on the outside. That's Botha on the inside. And the two of them are a tenth of a second splitting the two of them. Man, and that is the fight out there between Steyn and Botha for P4.
Sure, what a race. 23 minutes, 34 gone so far. And Jaco Steyn, well, let's have a look at positions up and positions down, because that's always something that's very nice to see as to how it's worked out there on circuit.
Well, have a look at that fight going down. That's Nsamanga. That's in there. He's a second behind that fight between Steyn and Botha as they're going to turn number one. Familiaris is all over the back of Umpi. He rubbed him slightly. He's trying to unsettle Umpi Swart. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Up and over the hill. Look at the movement in those cars as they go up and over that crest and drop down towards the Haggerty Bridge. Man, this is entertaining. This is brilliant stuff. He's got his nose right underneath, or virtually underneath that wing there of Umpi as they go into that final right-hander and down the home straight.
Well, can he make it stick this time? Remember, it's Umpi that started in second, and he finds himself now in first. It's Julian that started in pole and finds himself one down. Michael Steven that battled initially. How does he get through this one with the left hand? He's going to have to run past the Audi of Jan Spammers. That's going to cost him. Now it'll be interesting, Frankie, to see, can he close that gap back up to Umpi Swart? It looked like he was quicker than Umpi, and I think he might actually be able to get back at Umpi Swart, having made that passing maneuver.
Well, let's have a look and see. That back marker might just have unsettled them, because there's 7/10 of a second between them. We have a look at a replay. Nathan Samanga going very wide, picking up the grass and almost turning himself inside out there. And Nati Audi number 69 will lose quite a few positions. However, Julian is coming back. He's now 5/10 of a second there behind Yuri Jr.
Well, Jacques Botha is still involved in that fight as well, because Jacques Botha finds himself 7/10 now behind Jaco Steyn, the man that created the series. And Jaco Steyn finds himself 4 positions up. The biggest mover has been Johan Grobler, that's in 12th position. He started in 23rd, but give it to Michael Stevens, 7 places up, and he's actually quicker than Umpi and Julian. You remember a little while back he was on 10 and 10.5 seconds. He's broke that down to 9.3. Well, with only 4 minutes to go, I don't think they're going to make mistakes. I think it's going to go a one-way session up front. But will Julian be prepared to end up behind Umpi?
Well, while we're watching this one, we're going to have a look at that fight for P7 a bit later on. But this is the one that it's all about. Oh, he rubbed him. He rubbed him. They're rubbing each other, the two of them. Now, who's got the best momentum? Who's got the best drive into turn number one? It's around the outside goes Julian. Around the outside, Willie Nobi fights back, does Yuri Jr. The two of them are side by side, and it's eventually into the lead goes Familiaris.
Look at that right-hand brake. It's glowing red on that car of Julian Familiaris. He's obviously got the brake bias set up that there's lots and lots of use of the back brakes on that motor car. It should be glowing at the front, not at the back. Well, his one shows the back brake. Ooh, he's coming back. Umpi Swart is coming back. He wants some more. He wants some more. Here they come through the Haggerty Bridge now. Down the dip they're going to go. One gear down. They'll drift it nice and neatly into the corner all the way towards the outside. 27 minutes gone. I think Julian Familiaris might have timed it correctly.
Well, the next victim will be the 57 car of Clinton Besaidnout as they head into turn number one. Into turn number one they go. There is 3.3 seconds between the two of them and Besaidnout. And where does Clinton sit? He's in that 14th position. He's a Clinton Besaidnout.
Well, let's go a little bit further down and let's see where we are. Michael Steven down to 8.7. So he is definitely one of the quickest out there. Jaco Steyn in that massive battle just a little bit further back. Jaco Steyn managing now to slowly but surely eke out 0.6 or 0.7 out of Jacques Botha. That's Jacques Botha right in there behind him. And they haven't exactly got away from the next man, Byron Mitchell. There's Byron Mitchell. He's in the game. He's 2.9. And he's made himself just a little bit of room at this stage of fighters. Byron Mitchell from Nati and Samangi. Nati trying to stay just outside of that top 5, but lots of attention there from the young gun, Carl McCarthy, coming to play.
Oh, there's a second between Msamanga and McCarthy. That's a back marker you see in there behind the two of them as they race under that Haggerty Bridge into that right-hander they go. Carl McCarthy. And right ahead of him is Nati Msamanga. And there is 0.2 of a second between Nati and Kyle as they head down towards the Sam Posey Bridge into turn 1, Big Bend.
Let's go back to the front end of the field. 1 minute 45 to go. So if it's 58-second laps, they've got 1 or 2 more laps to go. And Julian from the RS has stamped it. He stamped it. He said, listen, this is mine, buddy. I've stuck around for long enough. He's got himself a 1.3 second gap right now. It's 29 and 3, so he'll have 1 more lap to go. And you probably, there's the white flag. It's just been waved on the left-hand side. So he is now on the last lap. Is Julian from the RS.
And Botha made the move on Steyn, Gary. Jacques Botha has made the move there on Jaco Steyn. I just saw it click over as you were talking there about the leaders. There's Botha. Into the right hand, and boom, through goes Jacques Botha there on Jaco Steyn.
Yeah, Jaco's given it all that he's got, make no mistake. Right, let's go through the field quickly. Up on the front end of the field, it is that man, Julian Familiar, is having tailgated that man over there, Umpi Swart, for a long, long time. Michael Stevens got it down to 8 seconds. Look at that. Michael Stevens, he's doing a brilliant job. It's Jacques Botha that's 8 seconds behind that, but it's going to be checkered flag for Julian Familiaris.
Yeah,
look at this.
Yeah, they come down towards us now. And my, oh my, he's pulled 1.4 seconds there on Umpi Swart. The checkered flag has come out. Yes, he comes home in P1. And he beats Yuri Jr. to the line by 1.4 seconds.
Well, here the rest of them coming through now. There's Michael Stevens coming up towards the line. And he'll finish up his race. Jacques Botha is going to be pretty chuffed with that one as he comes towards the end of the straight. In there behind him is Jaco Steyn, Byron Mitchell, and Nati Nsamangi as they come across the line. Oh, nothing much in it. And Kyle coming through there as well. Here's Dario Busi. He managed to make it eventually into the top 10, did Dario Busi. Umpi Swart, in fact, has made it into just outside of the top 11, and that's 7 positions up. That's utterly brilliant.
Yeah, that is Yuri Senior, and only the top 10 cars ending on the lead lap.
Wow, that was something else. I tell you what, it doesn't get any better than that. So let's look at that. Julian Familiaris started in pole, ended at the front. Umpi Swart started second, ended second. Michael Stevens, the man on the move. Look at that. 7 positions up into the top 3.
Yeah, but the man that moved the most was Johan Grobler in P12. He moved up 11 positions and finishes out the top 10, but in the top dozen. So well done there to Johan Grobler.
Well, let's see if we can pick up the results on this one. It should come up for us. It doesn't look like it wants to give it to us at the moment. See if we can pick up. Oh, we've got a garden feature. No, it doesn't want to give us that specific shot that we were looking for. And give us a sec. We'll get that one for you. Race results.
Well, here we go.
Oh, look at that. 1.3. Julian Familiar has timed it brilliantly. Well done, Julian.
Yeah, with Yuri Swart Jr. in that second position and Michael Stevens in that third position. And that is your podium. Jacques Botha in P4, Jaco Steyn in P5, Byron Mitchell in P6. And I must say that Michael Stevens in P3 and Byron Mitchell in P6 had a pretty quiet race. They were basically in no man's land. They were in the twilight zone, but they did pretty well to make the top half a dozen, with Natim Samanga finishing there in 7th, Carl McCarthy P8, Nathan Victor P9, and Dario Busi P10. And those were the top 10 drivers that were on the lead lap. The first driver to go a lap down was Yuri Swart Sr., and then rounding off the top 12 was Johan Grobler, the man that moved up 12 positions.
I think that was utterly brilliant. Well, that was Touring Car Challenge round number 1. They've got another, I think it's 8 rounds in total. You never know. Maybe we'll be able to go live with the others as well. But a lovely opening series. Remember, there is a Division A and a Division B. They both race tonight at that 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock frame. So I think after 4 races, the bottom 5 will drop out of the A division, and the top 5 from the B division will come through. And there's some very well-known names in that grouping as well. So yeah, keep tabs on it, folks. Definitely something worthwhile watching. Frankie, a closing word from your side.
And just a matter of mention, Jason Kutsia finishing in 18th. Obviously not going Jason's way, because he would never, under normal circumstances, finish in 18th position. So right now, after 1 round gone, there will be some serious pressure on Jason Kutsia. It's been brilliant, to say the least, and I agree with Gary. One way or another, it would be lovely to be able to bring the whole series to you guys, but yes, only time will tell.
From our side, Gary Fleming and Second Gear Productions, good night to you, one and all.